I can't believe it. I just got walked out of the building I've been working at for the last 10 years. Security guards escorted me out. They took my keys, my badge, my phone, my computer, kicked me out of the company email and server. I never thought it would happen to me. I'm shocked. I just got fired. That is the scene my clients describe to me over and over and over again. And they're not alone. About 21 million people a year are fired in America. That's about the population of the whole state of Florida, fired every year. It actually works out to about 58,000 people a day fired. Many of them walk out with a banker's box just like that, carrying it and scared and completely shocked and doing what they feel is maybe the banker's box walk of shame. But it doesn't have to be that way. With the right preparation, fired employees can hold that box up high and do what I like to call the banker's box strut. 25 years as a labor and employment lawyer representing employees has shown me a simple truth, and that is that all employees always need to be prepared to be fired, and most aren't prepared at all. They're not prepared because they think it'll never happen to me. I work hard, I know as much as anybody in this company about this work, I do a great job, I'm dedicated, they won't fire me. But they're wrong. No one is immune. It happens to doctors and lawyers and bankers and CEOs and company founders who stayed on to work for the company. No matter how high or how new or how well educated, people get fired. Talented, dedicated, great people. They get fired for good reasons, bad reasons, true reasons, false reasons, sometimes illegal reasons. I've even seen people fired because they were too good at their job. No one is immune. So you can't control whether you're fired. But what you can do, and what I want to urge everyone to do, is to be prepared to be fired so that when that day comes, you can bounce back quickly and in the process maybe even get something better. And the things you do to prepare to be fired may even cause you to have newer and better opportunities and do a better job at work. So how do you prepare? 3 things I'd like you to concentrate on: your data, your documents, and your development. So let's talk first about your data. Let's take a look in this box. I'll venture to say that nearly all of you are carrying a smartphone, and that smartphone has a whole lot of your personal data on it. It's got personal texts and emails, it's got your vacation photos, it's got a lot of private stuff. But many of you probably also have your employer's data on that phone. You got work emails, you got work texts, you got maybe the app that gets you into the company server. Well, you're also probably doing that with your company computer, laptop, you're sharing data, you're mixing your personal data in with the employer's data, putting it in their devices and putting it in their system. That is not being prepared to be fired. Why? Because when you get fired and they walk you out with that box, they cut you off from that server and they take that equipment. And if you've been counting on that personal data that you've been storing there, it's gone. Bunch of people like to use the company Outlook for almost all of their contacts, and they load all their personal contacts in and they use it. But when you get cut off of that company email, poof, all your contacts are gone. And that can be devastating when you're looking for a new job. And besides, you don't want the employer who just fired you having access to all your personal stuff. So it makes sense to keep your personal data out of the employer's devices and systems. So that's data. Let's now talk about your documents. And I'm going to encourage you to go really low tech on this one. Way too many employers and too many employees are having just all of the employee documents that they sign come to them electronically, and then the employees, often without reading the documents and without really giving any thought to how those documents are going to impact them when they're fired, go ahead and sign those documents and leave them right at the office on the company server, on the company computer, and they don't even have a copy. Well, it's kind of a recipe for disaster, because when you're fired, now you don't even have the documents to read to figure out what they said, what you signed, and how it's going to affect you when you're fired. And if you do need to talk to the employer about what they owe you, or you need to know what restrictions you have for your new employer who's going to ask you, hey, do you have anything we need to know about, confidentiality, non-compete restrictions, you may not know. I talk to so many people who really aren't sure what they signed. So I want to encourage people, when the employer gives you documents, read them, figure out what they mean, really pay attention to how they might affect you when you're fired, and then print them out and have a copy of them at home, including that employee handbook that you probably got and left on the company server, and you haven't read that either. So low tech on the documents. When you see this notebook at home, it also reminds you, hey, prepare to be fired. So that's data and documents. Let's now talk about development. Development is the heart and soul of preparing to be fired. It is the investment you make in yourself. You are your best asset. While you're doing a great job for your employer and you're giving them your all, you got to be doing great things for yourself too. Because most people don't spend their whole lives with just one employer. And you can't count on that employer for your future, but you can count on you if you're investing in you. You can't get complacent and think, I've got this, I'll just be in this job forever, because that's when danger strikes. So let's talk about development in two categories. The first category I want to talk to you about is development of your people network, which is crucial. And the next we'll talk about development of your application for your next job. But let's talk first about your people network. When you've been fired, you kind of have two strikes against you. One, you're looking for a job while you don't have a job, so you're at a disadvantage. Two, you've been fired, so you've got something to explain or justify or overcome, or work around. So what do you need when you're out there unemployed looking for a job? You need good friends. You need contacts. You need folks who care about you. You need folks who are going to call up their friends and their contacts in the industry and say, hey, this guy or this gal, this is somebody special. You need to talk to this person. Vouch for you. Someone that'll say, this is my friend. Put their name on you. Make sure that you've got that credibility that you might need when you've been fired. And where do you get that? Well, many of you are probably using LinkedIn and social media, and you're keeping all of your resume up to date on that, and that's great. Using that is great, and a lot of people enjoy it. But it really isn't a substitute for real-life human beings who know you, who spend time with you. And that takes effort because we're busy, and it's hard to get together with people. But nurturing that network is super important, because the people who casually know you on LinkedIn, who may like a story you post or say congrats, they're not necessarily those people who are going to go and visit people they know and make phone calls for you to help you get that next job, because they don't know you as well. So I'm going to suggest to you that you want a visual representation of your network, something like this old-fashioned Rolodex. This sits in real life on your dresser at home, right there. And every day when you get up and you're going to work, you look at it. You say, who didn't I go to lunch with lately? Who haven't I gone to dinner with? Who haven't I talked to in a while? Who do I need to call and get together with for a coffee? Pull a couple of the cards out. Take them with you every day or every week and make the effort. Get together with people in real life, not just texting, not just LinkedIn. Relationships, old-fashioned, low-tech, sitting there over a coffee catching up. Because those people will help you get a job. And if you're looking at this Rolodex and you're thinking, I don't know enough people to fill up, a tenth of that, get busy. Now let's talk about the other kind of development that's also so important, developing your application for your next job. And you notice I didn't say developing your resume, because we think of a resume as kind of a piece of paper or two, a static document, put some things on, take some things off. But I'm talking about developing your whole application, your whole person for that next job. Because the problem I see is employees who get fired are so shocked because they've been so convinced they were going to stay in their job that they got complacent and they're standing, as I say, flat-footed. They're not on their toes. They're not nimble and ready to go. They've been using the skills they need for this job, but not necessarily the skills they need for the next job. They're limiting themselves. So I suggest that you do this simple exercise. Pretend your employer is right now down the hall in a meeting preparing to fire you. Go look at the job postings that you would need for that next job that you need to get right now. Where's the posting? What jobs are they? How are you going to make yourself the most qualified applicant for that job? Do you need another degree, another certificate? Do you need to get out into the community and get some volunteer experience to grow some other skills with leadership? Do you need to be volunteering for some committees at work? Do you need some more technological skills? What do you need to be the most attractive candidate for that job posting? And I encourage employees, keep looking at those job postings, even though you have no intention of applying, because pretend you're going to apply and get yourself qualified, and stay on your toes. When you're doing all of that development, and when you're investing in yourself and making sure that you're always growing and you're always moving forward and you're nurturing that network, you may find you get promoted at work. You're going to be in meetings offering up new ideas and new skills and new things they never heard from you before. You may be bringing new people into the company because you're doing all of this nurturing of your network. You may shine more. You may open up new opportunities, decide to go out, get another job, fire this employer before they fire you. Or when the day comes that they show you the door and they say, guess what? Today's your last day. You're fired. Instead of putting your head down with that banker's box walk of shame and saying, I don't believe it, you can lift up that box and say, I got this. And do that banker's box strut.